Guys, part 2 my thing for my phone for my storage management. So let's go on with my video. So let's continue with the video for part 2 from part 1. Let's get it. Not outro.
But she just starts blaming herself for all that happened. As it turns out, Artoria, when they walked back, boosts. Using this, he teleports them all back to where they were. He was carrying Artoria when they walked back to the guild, but she just starts blaming herself for all that happened. As it turns out, her...
No kid is that stubborn, right?
Yes, it is.
Let go of the rod! Never!
Her bad luck is no joke. It's minus 2 million. And this looks serious. She is misfortune personified. Artoria was looking pretty down in the dumps, but Seiji assures her that it'll be okay.
This is a
Everyone
reaction
loves her.
video,
Then
so I
later,
hope
while she's
it
shedding
won't
tears
get.
by
I don't
herself,
think it will
Seiji
get
shows up from
copyright
behind,
claim.
gives her a warm hug, and then puts a rare ring on her finger. It was something he found back in the dungeon. It's pretty much a confession. Conveniently, the ring had special abilities which nullified her bad luck and blessed her with good luck instead. Everything Seiji did.
That makes
so happy
sense.
that her sweet chocolate
That makes sense. So it wouldn't. They didn't give it to the wife of the gorilla, right? So he wouldn't. Okay, makes
turns
sense.
bright red, pushes Seiji
Hello.
away, and then runs. Classic
Hello.
Sundari moment.
Sundari.
Subsequently, a high
Sundari.
authority in the Demon Lord's army hears about the Black Dragon God's death.
Yeah.
They wonder if someone has started a war between the humans and the demons again. Now Seiji realizes that it's about time he started looking for any information he could find about his classmates. He goes to the Royal Library and starts hitting the books. Meanwhile, Artoria is hopelessly in love with him, so much so she can't stop clustering for a single moment. Seiji was also thinking about Artoria. He wanted to make things up with her, and that was bothering him. When he's at the cafe, the manager and a good local named Ronze tells him to be honest with her. Similarly, Artoria is vividly told by her friend Adriana about how she's madly in love with him. Soon enough, the two come face to face with each other. They're approaching each other, and just like that, Artoria's already blessed our protagonist with a kiss. This was her confession. Although she knows that he already has Saria, she wants to be with him as well. Surprisingly enough, Saria witnesses this and just casually gives them permission to be lovers. Rejoice, Seiichi. Now you have two beautiful girls by your side, and they love you with all their heart.
People's gonna
Anyway,
be
so in
so
the wake of the
jealous.
recent events, Seiji becomes an A-rank adventurer. And so the guildmaster tells him to get himself a horse because just what is an adventurer without a horse? Sure enough, he takes them up on the advice and visits the local stable. There are quite a lot of strong horses, but he ends up choosing the rather aggressive female donkey. She seems hungry, so he gets her some food. He also comes across a young artist named May who is being bothered by her friend to enter the Royal Art Competition, which will be held about a month after the race. Seiji notices this and tells him that if he wins the race, May shall enter the competition. They have themselves a deal. The day of the competition soon arrived, and our donkey, named Lulun, seemed sick and tired because she didn't have a proper breakfast before getting here. This causes them to lag behind the others when the race starts, but Seiji had one of those fruit of evolution on him. He feeds one to her, and thanks to it, she instantly unleashes Super Saiyan levels of improvement in speed and aggressiveness. Seiji and Lulun not only bypass everyone else, they also destroy the traps that were set up by those who were ahead. They end up finishing in first place, and guess what? Thanks to that fruit of evolution, Lulu turns into a donkey girl. It leads to yet another embarrassing scene because she obviously didn't have any clothes on. But for what it's worth, Seiji now has 3 girls. All 3 of them were having a moment with him, but then he was escorted to the castle by the Valkyries. This development is
This
because
is
he
an
was first place in
interesting
the race.
story.
As a reward,
So I'm
he
learning.
gets to spend a day with the Valkyries. These are girls who are revered as the strongest warriors in the kingdom.
Yeah.
Once there, the captain of the
Okay.
Valkyries, named Louise
Fulfill.
Blaze,
I'm
challenges
sorry.
him to a training match. With her gentle blue hair, she has quite a graceful appearance. Not to mention her reputation as the
This is
strongest
gonna be the
Valkyrie.
next level.
That's not an
So much
individual that
level
should
to
be
it.
taken lightly in any context. At first, Seiji thinks he wouldn't be able to stand a chance against her. But when their duel begins, he neatly dodges her attacks and disarms her before she knows it. That's right, even Seiji himself doesn't know just how high the limits of his abilities go. Louise was taken aback by this, but she accepts her loss and declares that from this point onward, she is Seiji's apprentice. Now, before this could develop any further,
What
the
the
king of this kingdom is attacked by an assassin. This was an emergency. All the Valkyries immediately act. They apprehend the assassin, who appears to be a little girl. Subsequently, Seiji's
5 more
classmates are now
minutes,
seen
please,
as
please
students
don't,
at the
please
Barbador
don't.
Magical
My
Academy. So now
My
they
phone
are
would
in
do
the
the
case of
storage
a
thing about how much
invasion, which is
storage
led
and
by
then
the
what
demon
stuff I have
lord's own
left.
daughter.
So
While the girl
please,
was in the hands of the Valkyries, Seiji realizes that the king
let's
was
do
fatally
like
wounded.
a few,
He's
like
now in a
10
critical
minutes.
condition because of the curse. Seiji uses
yeah.
his abilities to understand the king's medical situation and cures him using a healing spell. As it turns out, the king's actually the good man he met at the cafe who told him to just be honest with Artoria. This earns him trust of the king, and the king king also gives him the freedom to practice and learn skills in the castle. Meanwhile, the mentor who was in charge of the students asks the emperor about why they were sent to that academy. To this, the emperor reveals that he had placed bracelets on all the students in order to make sure that they never become a threat to their empire. He's also the one who sent that little girl to assassinate the king of Seiichi's kingdom. It's revealed that this girl is from an ancient race, who is now being used by the emperor as a slave. Speaking of the little girl, her name is Oliga, and she's now being interrogated by the Valkyries. They aren't being too nice, but after noticing that Oliga was wearing a slave collar, which is basically the cause of why she did what she did, they decide to stop interrogating. Seiichi's other girls get there too, and of course, they are welcome. He then uses his abilities to break the collar, and he also creates his own liberation spell, which essentially frees Oliga. The girl simply bursts into tears. She's genuinely grateful for this. She introduces herself and explains how she was separated from her kind when she was even younger, and the emperor then had her be trained to be an assassin. She feels disgusted with herself and states that her hands are full of blood. But Seiichi holds her hands and comforts her by stating that it wasn't her fault. Now, the one in the wrong was the Kaiser Empire. Seiichi also tells her that she will be his younger sister from now on. Poor little girl was slaving away all this time without ever getting the chance to rest or catch a break, but now she can. She's still afraid, though, of what the Empire might do, but Seiichi assures her that he is much stronger than he looks. After this, Seiichi trains a little bit with the Valkyries,
Much stronger than he
apparently
looks,
Louise had to
yep.
go take a look at the
Always.
borders because of some monster activity that had been reported. And it's the enemy. So she tells Seiichi to take care of the king while she's away. The girl has a lot of respect for Seiichi. Days go by, and soon it's been a week since Louise left with her army. Today was a special day, though, because the legendary wizard named Barnabas was here. He is the one who mentored the current king. The old man mentions the students were transferred to the Barbador Magical Academy. This is the first time Seiichi finally learned something about the whereabouts of his
Finally, after a
While
million
this comical
freaking
yet interesting conversation
something
was going on,
years.
a soldier
For
arrives
like a
at
whole
the castle
year.
and informs them about an army of 5,000 monsters that is about to invade the capital city. The Valkyries are fighting against the monsters on the border, along with the legendary Black Paladin, who is this nation's finest soldier, which is why there's no one who can protect the capital. This is where Seiichi comes in, along with the remaining soldiers and the Adventurers Guild. The gang unites to take down the monsters. Seiichi's
Gang
girl
unites
team
to
seems
take down the
especially motivated to
monsters.
steamroll the enemy. Seiichi and Barnabas observe with the king while everyone else attacks. He was getting impatient, but the old wizard tells him to simply observe and see the power of their allies. Sure enough, the Adventurers Guild was casually using perverted traps and monsters. In the end, Seiichi didn't have to do a thing while
Y'all
everyone
had
else
to
eliminated
see
the
that and
monster's
pause the
army, and
video
they
to actually-
rejoice. Sadly, this was just the first wave of the army. The next one coming is much stronger and devious. When they arrive, things don't go nearly as well as last time. This prompts Seiichi to act. He comes up with an offensive
Okay, 2
spell
more
called
minutes,
Judgment.
please. 2 more
And this
minutes.
spell
Let me
basically
be.
just works like a cheat code. Within
Cheat
a moment,
code.
lightning flashes from the skies
Welcome
and
to the game,
quickly
people.
kills all the enemies. Smoked. Just like that, he had
I need
eliminated
at least
the
12
second
minutes
wave
on
of
here.
the army. His level increases several folds and he becomes even stronger. The great wizard Barnabas commends his talents and asks him if he'd like to be a teacher at the Barbador Academy. Naturally, Seiichi's excited by this opportunity. He gets to teach magic and the students will be his former classmates. But he wants Barnabas to wait until after Louise and her Valkyries have returned because leaving the capital unattended would not be a wise decision. Plus, he also has the girls to look after. But Barnabas is okay with it. He can wait, and when Louise returns, he can then bring the girls to the academy as well. In the following days, Seiichi and the girls have quite a lot of wholesome moments together.
Wholesome
Walking around,
moments.
being silly and careless, and then, of course, there was the art contest. Remember that
Yeah.
girl who had to participate if Seiichi won the race?
Yes.
Well, she ended up winning first place. As
No.
for what she drew, it was a beautiful painting of Seiichi riding Lulu. Though it
That's
happens soon
sick.
enough, Louise returns along with all the Valkyries, and so Seiichi and his girls bid farewell to the city. They will definitely return, though. Meanwhile, the Demon Lord is disappointed because his army's lost and he wasn't able to resurrect himself. But then a follower of the Demon Lord reveals that their next target is the Barbador Academy.
Bah.
This is where the first season of the anime finishes things up, but of course the story continues in the next
Okay, that's the
season.
first season is
The adventures
over.
of Seiichi and his girls have only just begun in the grand context of this series. And that's the end of the video.
That's-
As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this, so I'll see you.
That's
at
any
the next
recap,
one.
people. Any recap. So, hope. Oh, shoot. What the heck? Shoot, I'm showing y'all too much. So, hope you enjoyed that, that video, part 2. Hope you enjoyed. And have a great, Have a great day, my viewers. See you, my Universe Squad viewers, Universe / Galactic viewers. Whew.